America's Mayor Live. We are in Palm Beach, Florida.
No,
it doesn't
look like it.
It looks like it. It looks like the East River. It looks like, although covered by my shoulder, unless I go this way, go the other way. Unless I go like that. You see that? See that road there? That is the East Side Drive. And I don't know, for about 2,000 years, I drove down that, and toward the end where you can't see the cars anymore, I got off to the right and went into those buildings there, because into those buildings meant my first 2 years as a law clerk, my next 5 years as an assistant U.S. attorney, then a couple of years in Washington and a couple of years uptown with a law firm, and then back again as the United States attorney for the Southern District of New York, in which I drove down there every day, because they're all right near each other. They're all, the U.S. Attorney's Office and the courthouse I worked in were in the same building, and then separated by one building that's connected. And then I took another 4 years off in law practice, and I was elected mayor of New York, 107th mayor of the city of New York. And for 8 years, that's the way the police drove me down every day, unless I took a boat, which I occasionally did, beat the traffic, because I had a meeting. So that is a very, very familiar sight to me.
Now, is that the same as the FDR Drive?
That's the FDR Drive, yeah.
But it used to be the East Side Drive?
Yeah, the East Side Drive.
I noticed that you referred to it as the East Side Drive.
Yeah, many people do. I mean, the FDR Drive is the way you see it on the map, but many people, I mean, New Yorkers have all kinds of names for things. Well,
it's like National Airport in Washington, right? Some people still call it.
Yeah, I mean, the Triborough Bridge is the Robert F. Kennedy Bridge. Most New Yorkers call it the Triborough Bridge. The Manhattan Bridge is the Koch Bridge.
Yeah. Okay. So they are. Yeah.
It's the Manhattan Bridge. How about? I'll give you one. They changed the name of 6th Avenue maybe 80 years ago. You can't find the New Yorker that says, "Oh yeah, go to 56th Street and Avenue of the Americas." 56th and 6th. Why? Because that's what it used to be. I don't think there's anybody alive from when it used to be 6th Avenue, but they call it 6th Avenue. It also made more sense as 6th Avenue. The Avenue of the Americas thing threw the whole grid system off. I should be able to tell you an address in the not just the central part of Manhattan, but Manhattan all the way down really to old colonial Manhattan, which means down to Houston Street, which we pronounce Houston, not Houston, right?
Nice.
All the way up to where you're going to get to the Yankee Stadium and the old Polo Grounds. And it's a grid. It's a grid.
Except for Broadway.
Well, Broadway. The Broadway is like it transects the hypotenuse of the triangle. So It starts way up north near Columbia University on the west side.
Yep. And
it comes down and it crosses Manhattan and ends up on the east side, going down to Wall Street is right off Broadway.
Yep.
And that is leading you into colonial New York.
Yep.
When they built it, they built it from south to north, and all the farms were over there on the west side. So I guess they needed a road to get them up to those farms. Mm-hmm. And you will see an example of that if you watch the Thanksgiving parade on television. And the Thanksgiving parade somehow looks like a straight march down Broadway. It is not. It's a march that goes this way, like this. It goes across the island from west to east, and then it comes straight down in front of Macy's. And it follows Broadway as Broadway transects the island. Take Broadway out, and all the rest of it is, almost all the rest of it, with a couple of little silly names they've changed, is avenues and streets. The avenues go north to south, and the streets go east to west, west to east. And the dividing line is the park.
For the
From west side of Manhattan to east side. If you live on 50th Street, you're either on the east side or the west side of 55th Street, depending on where you are in relation to Fifth Avenue.
So this is the route for the parade.
Now, notice why that's such a great route. Because see these buildings; these are all. I mean, a few of those are residences. More than a few, but a lot of them, particularly as you move along, are businesses. So a lot of those businesses stay open on Thanksgiving Day for their employees and their employees' friends, and they have parties there to see the parade. And it's wonderful for the children. Really wonderful for the children. I've been at any number of those parties, and I can tell you. Kids go nuts when they see, because if it's a good day and the balloons get all blown up, they come right up to your height. You're on the 4th or 5th floor, and there's Snoopy. Hey, Snoopy, how you doing, pal?
Gotta be good.
So you know that Pennsylvania is a crooked Democratic state, right? Okay. So they're now having a big election of 3 Democrats, I guess, who are up for election to the state Supreme Court. And the state Supreme Court, these Democrats are David Wecht, Christine Donahue, and Kevin Doherty. And the question is whether to be retained on November 4. Governor Josh Shapiro is campaigning for them. Governor Shapiro is seeking to do something that appears to be grossly unconstitutional. He's seeking authority to lever an energy tax on Pennsylvanians by entering the state into the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative, which is the biggest bunch of green shit that you ever heard about. This is, make Al Gore rich. And he wants to do it without legislative authority. The lower court has found that he acted unconstitutionally. Sounds like he did. I mean, most governors don't have that kind of, what were they maybe he's the real king, huh? Maybe he wants to be the king. King Shapiro. King Josh the first. Well, if he gets this court, you want to make odds on what the decision is? This is the court. And I don't know if these 3 judges were on it at the time. We'll have to find out. A couple of them were. This is the court that had made the most intellectually dishonest decision of any ever. So in 2020, when the Democrats stole the election from Donald Trump, one of the prime places they did it, and Pam Bondi can tell you the whole story. She was there. One of the prime places they did it was in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, they would not allow Republicans to observe they wouldn't allow Republicans. They would not allow Republicans to see the ballots. They had a rule that you had to be. Actually, the rule was 6 feet away, but they interpreted it as a football field away, and they built pens to put the Republicans in, and they closed them out. And so, the long and short of it is, Republicans didn't get to see over 700,000 ballots to be counted without any inspection at all, which is directly contrary to the law that says that both sides should be allowed to have an inspector present for the counting of the ballots. So they go to court saying, hey, come on, we got to see these ballots. The first court in the local court, probably with a judge put on by a Democratic hack, says, oh, well, you are present. Yeah, but Judge, we're 300 feet, 300 yards away. We can't see anything. Even with binoculars, we can't see anything. We have to be able to minutely look at the ballot, see if the signature is valid, see if there's even a signature there. Because we heard they were printing up a lot of phony ballots. We caught these 2 different trucks bringing in ballots. We've got pretty good evidence that they've been forging ballots for about 3 weeks. We want to satisfy ourselves that these are real ballots. Well, you can. You're present. You're present, but 300 yards away, which means you get to see that. Now, here's what they did get to see. They did get to see this. Watch. Well, here's what they got to see. Oh, ballot. Oh, ballot. Oh, ballot. See these two? These two could not be mail-in ballots because they're not folded. Mail-in ballot has to come from in an envelope because it's the outer envelope that validates it with the signature. And the way they are from time immemorial counted is the Republican and the Democrat sit there when it's opened. They look at the signature. Republican says, okay. Democrat says, okay. Boom. Or Republican says, I challenge it. It's put over there for the judge to look at. That didn't happen over 700,000 times in Philadelphia, which is why the impossible happened. I was told the night of the election when Trump, when they stopped the counting when they weren't supposed to, which is when I first became suspicious. And I was told it's statistically impossible for them to overturn. What kind of lead did he have? About 20 points?
I would say, yeah, that'd be fair to say about
18 to 20 point lead. It's impossible to turn it over. What happened instead is the numbers kept getting out of control, meaning it seemed like there were more votes. Oh, but then they corrected it, and then more votes. And then they corrected it, and then more votes. So, I mean, the question I was asked at one point was, when are they going to stop voting? And the answer had become very clear when Biden won. So this went up to the court, this wonderful court, the Supreme Court that these people want to be on. And as it went up to that court, an intermediate court said, and a brave Democrat said, this is absolutely illogical. Present for an inspector means present for the purpose of examining the ballots, not present just to be a potted plant, kind of sitting there whistling or watching your soap operas on your cell phone, like the judge was during my bar association proceeding in New York. So, well, I don't know if she was watching soap opera. She was certainly spending her time on the phone, and didn't seem to think that a 30-minute gap in the critical tape, particularly of the time period where the incriminating information occurred, incriminating activity occurred, meant any difference. It was okay if either Rafsenberg or the prosecutor in New York erased it. It was okay. What the heck? We don't need that. Giuliani, you can't. What does it matter? We're going to toss you out anyway. And we decided that when we summarily disbarred you without a hearing and kept you from practicing law for 2.5 years without a single hearing. Talk about lack of due process. I didn't do anything wrong except represent a client. Based it on a case in which neither the judge nor my opponents complained about anything I did except some political hack and some political hack handling the case and a political hack judge who probably is a creature of the Brooklyn Democrat machine and certainly is a creature of the Democrat Party. Had she voted for me, woman's income would have been gone. Never hired her again. So I'm going to take a short break because Pennsylvania has this big election with these judges coming up. We talked to you about we talked to you about lying, cheating cadet Cheryl, who won't show her records. And I think until she does, we have every right to assume she's lying and cheating. Why not? This isn't going to show us she has some kind of illness. we're not asking her to reveal the other people who cheated. She should have done it then. Nobody's anything private. The only thing they're going to find out private is, are you a damn constant liar under the most important of circumstances, and too damn dishonorable to have served us in the military, much less in the United States Senate.
Right. Okay, so we'll take a quick break.
Or does she belong there because Blumenthal is there? If a guy can get in lying about having served in Vietnam, I guess somebody
Par for the
cheated
course.
and lied, if that's what she did. I mean, that's not probably as bad.
Right.
So maybe if it all comes out and it gets proven, they'll say, well, she comes in under the Blumenthal exception.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's almost like the rule, not the exception for these elected Democrats. Right. Just the level and the scale of their lies is what really can shock you, right? I guess people expect politicians to not exactly be the most honest people. Unfortunately, they're not all like you, Mayor.
But why? I mean, why should politicians be dishonest? I mean,
they shouldn't be.
Politics should draw honest people who want to honestly help their government, this beautiful, wonderful,
what an opportunity,
God-given government that we have. I mean, to me, it was such an honor to be.
You looked at it as an opportunity to help others.
Official of the United States government. My goodness. I mean,
that's the difference between you and
pinch myself saying, oh boy, I'm an official of the United States government.
You look at it as an opportunity to help others. Many people that pursue this line of work, unfortunately, look at it as an opportunity to help themselves. It's unfortunate.
You're right. I mean,
it's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, there's way too much corruption in politics.
And
because of the power.
I'm not asking you to make any comments.
Power corrupts, and ultimate power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely, and that is, unfortunately, more often the case than people who are doing it for reasons of the public good. So we'll be right back. U.S. Army Major Scott Smiley paid a high price serving our nation. Scott was leading his platoon in Iraq when a blast sent shrapnel through his eyes, leaving him blind and temporarily paralyzed. Scott would become the first blind active duty military officer before medically retiring years later. Thanks to friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave Scott and his family a mortgage-free, specially adapted smart home. Show your support for America's heroes now. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org.
Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal. 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month, including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news, even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax, channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go. Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly, where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today. Use promo code RUDY. Act fast. These deals are selling out.
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because they like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're going to go into the roaster, and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee. Welcome back to America's Mayor Live from the capital of the world that hopefully will retain that title after it defeats the communist candidate for mayor.
So
now, get Chad. Yeah.
Well, I want to bring up the point because we ended before the break when we talk about the corruption in that, and people want to point to, blame Curtis Lewa or whoever else they want to blame for the current situation. I won't.
Who wants to blame Curtis for the current situation?
There's a number of people.
Curtis hasn't been part of the government,
right? Someone like Eric Adams, who has this cloud over him. I'm not saying
Eric
him
Adams
himself
can be blamed for the current situation.
Why we now have
Mamdani is an
Mamdani.
assemblyman who's voted for a lot of the crap.
Right.
And Cuomo went back past some of it, although he has at least disavowed it. So
right. So I just want to.
Whereas Mamdani, doesn't disavow it.
I just think it's an important point to note because everyone's talking about this New York City race. I just think it's important to note that by all accounts, Curtis has been nothing but on the up and up. When Eric Adams is the one that had to leave office in disgrace, whether fair or not to him personally, he was surrounded by people who obviously didn't have the city's best interests at heart.
Yeah, 100%.
Is that fair to say? Yeah.
Curtis is. Let's go through this first, and then we'll talk a little about the tactics of this, which we are going to do more during the week, because this is a very, very difficult, obviously, a difficult and might very well be a fatal situation for the city of New York. And I say that without any exaggeration at all. The election of Mamdani could be irreversible. It could be irreversible because there's nobody to stop him. The city council can be a whole bunch of new people who are as crazy or crazier than he is, if that's possible. And the governor is a complete nincompoop coward who is running for re-election that might stop certain things, but it will empower other things. So there are a couple of crazy things she'll probably stop, but there are a lot of crazy things she's going to let happen because she doesn't want his people to walk out on it. So it's going to be a hell of a dance. I want to list the positions that he's taken that are based on current American politics, pretty much on the side of crazy. And in and of themselves, many of these things would destroy an economy or destroy safety and security. These are crazy things that only wild, nutty, left-wingers, dreamers, nut jobs, and crooks say. So let's start with the following. Number one, I'm going to count how many there are to see how many I have. Number one, he wants to freeze rent. Well, that means that there's no landlord in the city that's going to fix any building, and they're going to do everything they can to unload their buildings if he freezes rent. The whole process of rent control had to be changed because it was destroying homes for poor people in New York, in Chicago. Even most liberals have written scholarly and practical pieces on what a terrible mistake rent control was, as were the public developments. One, because it didn't provide the capital necessary for maintaining these buildings. And the other, because you were taking people with substantial issues and problems like not working or criminal issues or drug issues and putting thousands and thousands and thousands in one place, as opposed to 2-family houses, 3-family houses, spread out a lot more so that the provision of services could be done in a much more sensible and logical way. Chicago and New York have done everything they can for 30 to 40 years to work themselves out of it. And I'm not just talking about conservatives like me who did it. I'm talking about liberals. There's nobody that thinks freezing rent makes sense except Karl Marx. This is absolutely nuts. Free buses. What? I mean, you want people to work, earn money, and participate, and not be given things. We don't want a dependency society. New York City is dreadfully close to having more dependent people than productive people. 1% of the population pays 40% of the taxes. That's pretty bad. How many don't? How many in New York City are riding for nothing? I mean, getting a free ride. And what happens when you do that free ride into a second and a third generation? You destroy the work ethic. When you destroy the work ethic, where do people go? What direction do they go in? Crime. With all the drugs available, what else they can do with their time? Now you can get them at legal stores, not so legal stores, and completely illegal stores. In fact, the illegal stores are beating the legal stores about 2,000 to 150. This was going to be an experiment in which they did away with organized crime's control of drugs. Organized crime is making three times more on illegal drugs now because they expanded the market dramatically. And organized crime will offer things that the legal distributors either won't or are not allowed to offer. So we have freezing rent. We have free buses. Then we have government-owned grocery stores and supermarkets. So you don't have to pay for your food, or you pay very, very low amounts of money for your food. So who's going to pay the food companies the actual price for the food so you can buy it for 1/3 of the price? Where's that going to come from? Oh, taxing the rich. That's the 1% who are paying 40% of the taxes. You're going to tax them some more. We want 1% to pay 80% of the taxes. You know how long that 1% is going to remain? Oh, maybe until Mondami's election. A lot of them are gone already.
Well, can we? Oh,
number 4, he wants to raise the taxes from 14.8% to 16.8%. He wants to raise the corporate tax from 7.25% to 11.5%. And he wants to raise the combined corporate tax to the highest in the United States of America. Get the hell out of here, corporations, 21%.
Wow.
And you know what they are in other places? In some cases, they're like 2%.
Wow.
Who the hell is going to remain there? Not me. I left a year and a half ago.
Right. Well, can we got to write those, hang in there.
That's 4.
Can we put this on pause for a minute and pick this up, Mayor?
Sure.
Because we have our friend Nick Sorter. He's on a tight window because
put him on.
He's got to get back on. But folks, we want to pick back up on this. So remember, number 4. Keep those notes. We're going to come back to it.
Yeah, I got him right here.
But we're gonna sneak in here, get to our friend because he's on a tight timeline. Nick Sorter. There's Nick. There he is.
There you are, Nick. How are you?
How's it going, Mr. Mayor?
You've been going through quite a time, my friend.
I am telling you, it's been a long time since I've been this mentally exhausted, Mayor. And the reason being is because, just speaking casually here, I'm on the ground and I'm watching this stuff happen in an American city, right? And I feel like everybody is against us, including the Portland Police Department. I have to run to the back of the ICE building here, right? Which luckily they have guys up on the rooftop that are, constantly watching. Because if I go to the other side, they will literally hurt me. I mean, they will. It's crazy. Like, I can't walk down the street in this city, in this area, without somebody trying to harm me. It's crazy. I don't know how to even explain. I'm not exaggerating it.
No, I know you're not. We've seen pictures of it. I mean, what? Yeah. And this is because you're reporting on what they're doing.
Yeah, that's it. My crime, Mayor, is walking around with a camera, and that's the last thing that they want. Because keep in mind, before independent started coming here, nobody was talking about this story very much on a national level, right? So they were able to get away with everything. The Portland police could do whatever they want to and hinder immigration operations that are happening right back here, but no longer. We're exposing everything from the corrupt police department to the terrorists that are harming ICE agents on a daily basis out here.
So are there, has the president of the National Guard shown up?
Now, President Trump hasn't given the order to deploy the National Guard just yet. He has the ability to now, thanks to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, which,
of course, right.
Yeah, they came out just, I believe, yesterday morning, and said that that President Trump has the ability to deploy the National Guard to protect the federal facility, especially in times when he is unable to adequately enforce federal laws, which is exactly what's going on out here. You have 3/4 of the Federal Protective Service out here at this one facility. Out of all of the federal facilities across the United States, 3/4 of them are stationed here to protect this building. That is a massive number.
When did you first start? When did you first start covering, and how long has it been going on, Nick?
It's been going on for over 100 days now, since the beginning of June. And it's only gotten worse. When I first got here, I was actually able to, people would yell at me and stuff as I would walk down the street and take a video. I did a live hit on Ingram, being able to walk down the street here at one point. I can't do that anymore. It's gotten more violent. They've gotten more aggressive because they know that we're exposing what's going on. Just today, we discovered a hit list that they have with pictures of me and other journalists on it that spend time out here. In the camp, because the encampment was cleared out by the city for approximately an hour and a half, and they set it all back up. It's a joke. They're on the side of the Antifa terrorists.
How many people approximately did the police move out?
On a given night, you would have several hundred, right?
So and then what? They come right back?
They come right back because they have a storage unit that is literally on. So the building that's behind the encampment is a storage facility, and they have storage units there. So they have a systematic way of wheeling things back out. The city allows them to put it. They have big carts that somebody bought, big industrial carts. No idea who paid for these. And they put all their belongings in them, and then they wheel them into storage. The police leave, and they say, "Okay, it's clear," and then they wheel everything right back out and set it up. And they do this once every few weeks. It's just for show, just so the city can say, "Oh, well, look, we're doing something." But they know what they're doing. They're helping them. Instead of confiscating the stuff, as they typically do, they're allowing them just to wheel it in the building that's 10 feet from where the encampment is.
Have any of them been arrested by the federal authorities?
Yeah, they've been arrested. So the ones that have assaulted ICE agents and stuff have been arrested if they can be caught. But keep in mind, Mayor, that requires they only have a certain amount of people here that can protect this facility. And a lot of these folks, they come out in a line, right? There aren't a lot of them left over. They have to have the line to make sure that nobody breaks through so that they can get vehicles in and out. So if you have officers running out of that line to go tackle people that assault officers or spray them with something or throw something at them, then the line is broken. So they can't do that. And Portland police refuse to help with that. You could walk up and beat a federal agent out front of the ICE facility, and Portland police will not intervene. They refuse to intervene. Like you just saw here last night. I caught this all on video myself. That they were beaming agents on the rooftop, blinding them, and they ran for cover behind Portland police because they know that Portland police won't do anything about it.
And we're playing that video right now. Nick, this is from Nick Sorter, captured, I believe, last night. And it's literally agents or the police, and they're in action. So we'll play this clip in full. Nick, how long do you plan to stay out there? Oh, we may have just lost Nick. But we're playing. Oh, Nick, can you hear us?
Nick, can you hear us? I don't think he can hear us.
Okay. Well, that's Nick. Nick is out there in Portland. So we'll try to get back with him there. But he's on the front lines here doing some amazing work.
It's hard for me to understand how this isn't a violation of federal law.
Right.
Federal officers are being beaten and the police are not helping them. And the police are not like, I mean, you and I don't have the obligation to help.
Can you
But
hear
the
me by
police-
chance? I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, we still got you, Nick.
Yeah, I don't understand, Nick, how they're not being arrested. You know, you and I as private citizens don't have the obligation to have to intervene. We should, but we don't have the obligation. But the police take an oath to uphold the laws of the United States, too, and of the Constitution of the United States. So they're violating their oath. And in many ways, they're aiding and abetting the assault on federal officers. I don't know why they're not arrested.
Right.
Maybe when the National Guard gets there, they'll start to arrest them. Now, I don't want to blame it on the police, but my goodness, I mean, there comes a point where orders are so illegal, you become a Nazi prison guard.
Well, this is what Nick's talking about. He's got some good video. We'll play it in full, and maybe this will give
Nick,
folks
watch
an idea.
it, please. I know.
Let's see what's
It
going on.
probably does not. Just be careful, huh?
So here's
We're
some
very
video
worried about it.
captured by Nick.
Hey, I love that. Whoa.
That's Portland police not doing anything.
They're shining something in the.
So those are Antifa. They're shining.
They're hiding behind the sign.
That's Antifa hiding behind the sign. They're running away. And they run behind police.
And they're running for cover behind Portland police. Oh my God. You've got to be kidding me.
Gotta now shoot everybody else to shoot one person. The bullets you got, come on!
Shining a light when you get mad at somebody else.
We should be allowed to hear what the fuck they're talking
Nobody
about.
told us anything, so we're standing there. We don't know what's
Oh
going
my
on.
God, is this the
If I'm not mistaken, they throw something at the ice cream,
That's yeah. We don't know
and
why
then they
she's
run
running.
behind the police.
Local police, yeah.
And the police presumably would protect them from getting arrested.
Yeah.
And interfere with the federal arrest.
Bingo.
But why the hell was that a crime?
That's what we're seeing there.
I mean, maybe they can't do it right now because they're outnumbered. But there should be a point at which they're not outnumbered, and the first time that happens, those cops should be arrested. And if it continues, you develop a conspiracy case, and you go after their poor excuse for a mayor.
Yep.
And then governor, all of whom enable this.
Right.
I hate to raise the issue, but others have as well. This is tantamount to secession.
Right.
I mean, think about it. To think about it in the more modern context, right? Eisenhower and then Kennedy had an order to integrate the schools. It said black kids, if they lived in a certain neighborhood, were entitled to go to their neighborhood school, and that you had no right to stop them. And of course, in Alabama, they were doing that. So George Wallace said he would not enforce that law. In fact, he would obstruct the enforcing of the law by standing outside the schoolhouse and putting his Alabama State Police there. Well, the National Guard was called out.
Yep.
Without this kind of criticism by the prevailing media, the New York Times and all of the other phony communists.
Yep.
And they showed up, and they just walked right past him and enforced the law.
Right.
Because he was reenacting what the South had done before. He was seceding from the Union. The Union is just a confederation of states that agree to obey the same laws. When you start to create up inconsistent laws, you're seceding from the Union.
Right.
And Portland, of course, has this history, which Nick knows better than we do, but we know it because we covered it. So weren't they like a separate zone for quite some time? They were their own. A lot of people say it never really stopped.
Right.
They had their own, like they didn't recognize American law. I mean, and this is all by the organization that doesn't exist, according to Biden and the Antifa is not an organization. It's a thought.
It's an idea.
Yeah, but thoughts don't beat the shit out of you.
Yeah.
Thoughts don't carry out riots like January 6th. You do know, although not yet proven to me, I've got, and the government has, because I gave it to them 4 years ago, the proof that Antifa basically was the proximate cause of the January 6th violence, in which they did the best they could to transpose the guilt to MAGA people, and of course with a willing, dishonest, disreputable media that was willing to do it. In fact, it's amazing. The night of January 6th, oh, no, I'm sorry, 2 nights after January 6th, I got an email that said that there were about 240 Antifa people in the Capitol, and the report to Senator Grassley and Senator Johnson has almost approximately that same number. But nobody's bothered to identify them. Nobody's bothered to figure out what we were doing. I can tell you what one of them was doing. One of them was trying to knock open the door where Ashley Babbitt was shot and killed. And when the police withdrew, he withdrew, leaving Ashley as the obvious target of the guy's shot. When Ashley wasn't doing anything, but if anything, she was going to come over the transom and fall on her back, and there were 6 cops to restrain her.
Right.
Instead, they shot her dead, but they didn't shoot the guys that were banging the door open dead, who were not only were they more dangerous, but they had a weapon. But one of them was an Antifa guy, identified to me by Antifa undercover people, and one we don't know, but they've never done a face recognition search. They don't want to know. Nancy Pelosi doesn't want to know exactly how many Antifa people were put there to turn that protest into a riot, so that her daughter could film it for whoever the hell she filmed for, CNN or some Hollywood operation. Well, Nick is doing us a real patriotic service in covering this, because this really lays out just how dangerous this organization Antifa is.
Right.
And it's really excellent that he's able to get this for us. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to finish up for a moment on Mondami's insane positions, but I want you to listen to them, and I'm going to list them all out, and then we're going to add to. I missed some.
Right.
I'm sure I missed some. So he wants to increase. He's going to raise all this money by increasing the taxes on the rich. The rich now pay 40%. 1% of the city pays 40% of the taxes. So probably, if he gets his way, it'll be 1% will pay 60% of the taxes. Now, how long is that 1% going to remain? I mean, it shrunk mightily in the last 4 or 5 years. And by the way, if you want to figure out how all the rest of the taxes are paid, it's in that first 4, 5, 6%. I mean, there are a lot of people in New York who are freeloading. In fact, that's where the Democrats get their votes, from the freeloaders. He wants to change. He was in favor and did defund the police to the tune of $1 billion. That money has never been restored. And the police department is down to one of its lowest levels certainly since I've been involved with them as an assistant U.S. attorney and mayor. I had 41,000 police officers, and now I have 33,000 and going down. Every indication is that if he gets elected mayor, anybody that can retire will retire. And he wants to take a certain number out of the police department, which is the same thing as defunding, and set up a Department of Community Safety. These will be mostly social workers who will go to violent situations to diffuse the violence. Now, that can be a really interesting concept in New York. I mean, I've been in law enforcement in New York for a long, long time, And I really would be amazed to see a social worker being used for an ongoing stick up. And while the person is being pistol whipped, the social worker will walk in without a cop and say, please stop that and use your words. Yeah, well, that'll be one less social worker. As the guy turns around and puts a bullet in his brain.
Right.
Or going into a domestic violence situation where the woman is calling because the man is beating her to death. But when he gets there, the woman turns and knifes the social worker in the back because it's a sickness. And they are under the control of that guy and are afraid that they're going to be separated from him. And are afraid that he's not going to go to jail. And then given, I've actually not listed another one, so we'll get that one. That was done in an excellent column in the Post the other day, which is he's going to get to a point about 100 judges who will be even more aggressive in letting criminals out than the ones we already have.
Right.
So if there are now 7,000 to 9,000 people on the streets that would have been in jail when I was mayor or Bloomberg, that'll probably go to 12,000 to 13,000. Because at least Adams put some judges on the bench that hold back. Although, there have been recent stories of a guy who murdered someone as a juvenile being let out, and then he slashed the face open of another person, then he slashed another person's face, and he was let out again. I mean, there are people that are let out multiple times.
Right.
It's like as if one or two serious assaults, thefts, maybe not even murders are enough for these exceedingly pro-criminal people. Now you say, why are they pro-criminal? Because they're Marxists and they want to ruin our society. They want to bring it down. You bring it down by not enforcing the law. You bring it down by not having a code of morality. You bring it down by taking the children away from the parents. Aren't they trying to do all this? And you bring it down when you take God out of America. He wants to give up mayoral control of the schools, which mayors going back to Robert Wagner fought for, including this one, finally given to Mike Bloomberg. He opposes any more charter schools, even though charter schools do twice as well, if not better, than the public schools with basically the same profile of the children who go there, meaning poor kids and underprivileged kids in many cases. He hates Jews with a passion I've never seen in a public official. I've never seen this kind of straight out and out. If you think the Squad is bad, this guy is the Squad on steroids. This guy really hates Jewish people. I'm pretty good after dealing with, 20,000 criminals. I'm pretty good at picking up hatred. And I've also prosecuted 2 Nazis, war criminals, both of whom were executed. So I don't give an inch on this. This is insane to elect a Jew hater anywhere in America, but in America's biggest Jewish city. We want these people tortured. His father compliments his thinking with articles like suicide bombing is understandable and okay. America was responsible for the 9/11 attack. You know how that goes down in this city where that attack took place? You see behind me, right around where you see that big building with the white thing over there. Innocent citizens are still in the middle there of opening their sandwiches. And as I pointed out yesterday, and I will point out again today, they didn't die for some obscure purpose. They weren't killed because, some strange, crazy person had paranoid schizophrenia, and they were killed because the 19 people who did it were carrying out the will of the leader of their religion, Muhammad. They were following his command to kill the unbeliever who was interfering with them. The Jews, the Christians, the non-Muslims, and America being, one of the great examples of that. And they were trying in a quick blow of 4 strikes to take out, at least symbolically, what they thought of as the financial center of this great Satan against the Muslim religion. That would be Wall Street, the World Trade Center, Wall Street, that area. They wanted to take out the military, which they attempted with the Pentagon. They wanted to take out our political center with the plane-headed, most probably for the Congress, although possibly for the White House. But in their case, interrupted by extraordinarily brave Americans. It was not one of these strikes that you can put off to mental illness. Like now we're having a rash of transgender violence. We've got 3 in a row of those. Well, first of all, I think it's important to own up to that we have 3 or 4 of those so that we can do something about it. But the transgender has, until these lefty punks have taken over, been recognized as a serious mental illness. If you're if it isn't paranoid schizophrenia, I don't know what is. I was born a boy, and I was born Rudolph Giuliani. If I think I'm Abraham Lincoln, and I seriously walk around the streets thinking I'm Abraham Lincoln, I need mental help, don't I? Well, I was born a boy, and if I walk around thinking I'm a girl, I need mental help. I don't need to have hormones. I don't need to have emasculation. I need to be helped. What I'm now done is I'm brought up into a cattle wrestling. Let's get all the kids who have some doubts about their gender, and let's get them on the road to mutilation or hormones, because we'll make a couple $100,000 on that one, and health money is getting scarce. Second, what a great way to carry out what Marx told them to do, which is to utterly destroy the moral fabric of a society and to break up its families. There are just too many of these for it to be a coincidence, and we better get on top of it, and we better have the courage to face our enemy. We weren't going to defeat the Nazis if we thought our enemy was Norway. Right. Our enemy is China, and they have a vow to overtake us by 2049. Our enemy, much longer than China, going back to the 7th century, are people who were organized as Muslims and Islam, and who elect to embrace the entire Quran, which includes very prominently in it very strong instructions from the great prophet to kill Jews and to kill Christians, and to kill those who don't agree with the faith that he invented. Now, not only did he tell them to do it, and he tells them to follow his example, he did it. According to the Quran, he carried out innumerable murders, mass murders, singular murders. He did mass burials. Maybe he started the Nazi process. Hitler had plenty of advice from the Grand Mufti of Palestine, who was as big a supporter of the final solution as Hitler was. After all, Hitler came up with the final solution a long time after Muhammad did.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there are people who just will not face this. They won't face it. They'll say very, very dangerous things, like Islam is a peaceful religion. Only if you do surgery on it. And only if you know what you're talking about is it a peaceful religion. Because if you pick up the Quran and you go to chapter 8 or 9, it's filled with very strong language and examples of killing Jews and Christians and the reasons for it, and the mass murders that were carried out. And yeah, it's also filled, the Quran, that is, with admonitions to peace and decency, and trying to meld the similarities between the three Abrahamic religions, or sometimes the religions of the book. But we have different books, they say, the Muslims say. The Jews have the Torah. I don't know if they give the Jews credit for the entire Old Testament. I think some do and some don't. But if you go back to the early texts, they'll say the Jews have the Torah, the Christians have the Gospels, and we have the Quran. And the Quran brings together and regularizes the correct interpretation of both of those books. So there goes, forgive your enemies. That one's gone. Nope. We change it to something sinister, something satanic, like kill your enemies. And the only reason not to kill them is if you can suck money out of them through extortion, through making them subservient dhimmis who you own and control. That's what the caliphate is all about, and the establishment of the caliphate, the establishment of Islamic supremacy over the world. You say, oh, they can never do that. They can't establish it over the world. That is completely unrealistic. Well, they sure as heck aren't acting that way. And maybe it's unrealistic they're going to achieve their goals, but before they stop, they sure as heck are going to kill millions and millions of people. You want to be one of them? You want your kids to be? Then continue to be unrealistic about this. Continue to listen to the crap where if someone gives you that message, they're accused of being Islamophobic,
mm-hmm. Intolerant.
I'm Islamo-realistic.
There you go.
They're Islamo-insane. When my friend and our great president, George Bush, who made a terrible mistake, announced in the floors of Congress that Islam is a religion of peace, I almost fell off my chair. The last thing you could use to describe Islam is a religion of peace. It's the only religion that I know that spread its message almost exclusively through warfare and death. Usually it's political cults that do that, which raises the question, and a legitimate one, is it really a religion?
Right.
These are questions that have to be faced. And I'd say it's not a religion until it straightens itself out, until there is universal agreement that those chapters in either the Quran or the Hadith that call for the worst kind of violence against their enemies, those have to be written out. They have to be confronted, they have to be written out, and they have to be rejected as something went wrong with Muhammad halfway through his career when he got rejected by his own people, by the Jews and the Christians, and he turned into what could legitimately describe as a mass murderer, satanic figure, and used the instruments of Satan to bring his people together into a violent cult and not into a religion. If you belong to that version of the religion, you do not belong to a religion. You belong to a satanic cult. It is quite obvious that Mandami belongs to that section. The other day when he went to visit the imam, Wahab, this imam is a leader of the murderous, satanic version of Islam. And he was described by Mandami, who is completely aware of the things that he's done. He's not living in some kind of his father has views very similar to this. He was he was listed as one of the great leaders of the Islamic community, both in the United States and in Bedford-Stuyvesant. That was announcing his allegiance to the homicidal form of Islam. So for simplicity's sake, and there are several books about this, and I'll make out a reading list for you. I've been meaning, when I can get the time, to do several lectures on this, because I do know it really well, have for decades, because I studied it a long time ago when I wanted to be a priest and studied comparative religion. And then I studied it with even more force in that period of time after the reign of terror took over and took our hostages, because I was trying to figure out what are we dealing with. I had studied the Quran. I remember the frightening things in it, and then I see this, and I'm wondering how much of this. I mean, a lot of people, I think, out of a sense of embarrassment or decency or wanting to be nice, will say this doesn't reflect what most Muslims think. Well, that's true, but it doesn't go far enough to solve the problem. It does represent what most Muslims refuse to condemn.
Bingo.
It sure does. When they're bringing up Islamophobia, and the Islamophobia results from the fact that people in the neighborhood are getting beaten up and killed and or subjected to those threats, that's not Islamophobia. That's completely healthy fear. And the shoe is not on the foot of the eternally blamed American white person, or black person for that matter. I mean, they don't just attack whites. And nobody's done more damage to Africa or Africans than Islam. I don't know. I'll take a good look carefully to see what the breakdown of wars in Africa are as civil political wars and religious wars. 90%. Yeah, it's true that the situation with their desire to eliminate the Jewish people is quite clear. And it has been from the moment that the Jews in, I believe it was Medina, rejected him.
Right.
They've been on his hit list, as they have many other people. But like Hitler was, well, I can't say with Hitler. I haven't studied Hitler enough. I don't know if there's enough available to really make this judgment about Hitler. He didn't play out his satanic beliefs over centuries and centuries. It was a relatively short period of time while he was living in a bunker, right? But he certainly wanted to kill other people too. He had a particular focus on the Orthodox Christian community rather than the Roman Catholic community. Not that they weren't on his ultimate list, and occasionally he got rid of them when they got in his way. But the way he saw it, and this is very similar, because in many ways, Hitler, they talk about fascism and communism, and they say, well, Hitler wasn't a communist, he was a fascist. Hitler was extraordinarily influenced by Marx. And here, I'll give you an absolutely common principle of the two. Wipe out the culture. If you want to dominate a country, wipe out the culture. Don't assimilate it like we do. We probably overwhelm the culture, but we also take it with us. So this is why it amazes me. To me, New York is a Jewish city. It's one of the nice things about it. It's a real fun city. It's a Jewish city. It's an Italian city. It's an Irish city. You're on St. Patrick's Day. My gosh, is it an Irish city? And it's a Greek city. You want to go to Astoria with me? And I can go on and on. I'm really not leaving anybody out. But there's no doubt it's an American city. Until now. When we were attacked on 9/11, people didn't separate. I mean, the Italians didn't go one place and the Jews one place and the Germans another place and the Greeks another place. First of all, they're all intermarried. I have nieces and nephews who are half Italian, half Irish, half Italian, half Greek, half Italian, half Jewish. Half Italian, half they don't know what they are. I mean, I gotta be that it's. If we look at I don't know what we say is an immigrant American or a non-immigrant American. So I think of myself as an immigrant American, even though it's a long time. So my grandparents were born in Italy. They all came here before the turn of the last century. That's a long time to be here, right?
Right.
My parents were born here in the United States, completely American, never even learned Italian because of the era they were in. And, wow. And finally, of course, I was born here and my children were born here, and my children are half Italian and have at least three other things. They're partially Czech, they're partially Irish, and they're partially French, I think. That's right. I'm thinking of Donna's family. My family is all Italian. Although we could start to get interesting here because Italy was never really much of a country. It was a tremendous power. Rome was a city-state. And then they developed into city-states. And when Rome fell, a lot of the Renaissance and even the Dark Ages was controlled by the Italian city-states that were enormously powerful, both militarily and financially. Venice and Florence and Rome itself, particularly with the backing of the papal army, Genoa. Mm-hmm. These were all great contributors to art and beauty and also to war. So that's it. I don't know how to describe this, but I'm enormously proud of that. But it doesn't get in the way of my being American one bit. Doesn't even have to be push comes to shove. America's my country. Italy, it's real. I'm interested in. I don't know. Sometimes I think I love Israel more than Italy. Sometimes I think I love them about the same. And I love them pretty much to the extent they love America. They start not loving America, forget it. I mean, I'll do like my uncles did. I'll go to war against them. I don't have any problem with that at all. I mean, I know what I am. I'm an American. I'm damn proud of it. Anybody who isn't should just go live, just go somewhere else. You got a lot of people want to take your place. I don't know why we can't say that to people. Shouldn't we? Shouldn't we be honest? Yes. Shouldn't we be honest with people?
Well, of course. That's right, Mayor. It's something we need.
I mean,
more
I had
of.
to face this, believe it or not, with the mafia. There were people who didn't believe the mafia existed. They knew it existed.
Yeah. They didn't want to accept the.
I don't know what they didn't want to accept. Right? There is no mafia. You're anti-Italian if you say mafia. Like say, damn it, you're not anti-Italian. You're pro-Italian.
Yeah. Right.
You're pro-Italian. What I'm doing, a third of the people working with me on this were Italian-American or actually Italian, given to me by the Italian government, 2 judges who were killed.
Right.
Judge Falcone, who died right after being married, shot dead in the highways of Sicily, described themselves as a patriotic Sicilian. Not even a patriotic Italian, but a patriotic Sicilian. The last time I talked to the man, I begged him not to go back to Sicily. I wasn't allowed to go to Sicily. And he said, but you're not a Sicilian citizen. I am. That's my country. I've got to go back. I'm not going to have them force me out. Would you let them force you out of the United States? I said, no, of course not. He said, well, I'm letting them force me out. I said, well, just be careful. I don't know how long it was, but I think it was about 4 or 5 months later. It was a Sunday. I remember it was a Sunday. I was leaving my apartment to go out and campaign for mayor. And the second time I ran, the time that I won. And Bob Bucknam, who was with me all the time, walked up to me, looked like he had tears in his eyes. He said, the judge has been killed. I said, what judge? He said, our friend Falcone. I said, how did he get killed? He just got married. He said he took his wife to Sicily. He got off the airplane at the Palermo airport. And just about the distance where that hunting box was near the Palm Beach airport, they jammed the road. And they created an obstacle, a massive obstacle on the road, a tree, a truck, whatever, both. And numerous mafia came out of the trees with machine guns and blew him and his wife to eternity and then escaped to show that they controlled the streets of Sicily. I have to tell you, the Italian government woke up late. So nowadays, if you go look at Italy, the organized crime problem is less, for sure.
Right.
It's been overtaken by much stronger groups. But even to the extent there is organized crime, Sicily is no longer. You want to get the most violent organized crime group in Italy, you go to Naples or to the one that has the Dragheta. I'll find it for you. I'll show you exactly where it is. But they are a considerably more powerful than the mafia right now. And I don't think it's going to change. There's a certain thing that happened with, you've got to, I mean, I should not be speaking as an expert on the Sicilian people. I am, by extension, by having spent so much time listening to them. You know, the investigations were heavily not only did we bring down the commission of the mafia and Las Vegas and the Teamsters Union and the fish market and this and that, the other thing. We also participated in a investigation I'm enormously proud of, in which Barcelona and the judge I just mentioned lost their lives. And that was prosecution over 1,000 mafia people in Sicily. They were exposed. They were laid out. The Sicilian people got their choice, and their choice was and you know, I'm not a big proponent of the EU, but this had a lot to do with the EU. The EU would not allow Italy to be a full member until they cleaned up the mafia, because they said the country was a savage, not a first world country, until they took care of their organized crime problem.
Right.
Italy did. And yes, they have the Dragata, and they have the other group, from Calabria. That's what I was trying to think of, from Calabria, and they're bad, but they're not anywhere near what the mafia was, and they're never going to be again, because enough the balance of feeling has turned in Sicily. I mean, it's a beautiful country. It's a great country. I'm not Sicilian. I mean, I'm Neapolitan. I don't know what you call somebody from Avellino. Avellini's? Avellino, Florence, and Montecatini. So I'm not Sicilian, but I'm very proud of how the Sicilian people turned it around, and they did. Of course, you know, of course, the Italian government did. They had to cooperate to make it happen. Well, we are going to start getting ready for tomorrow night.
Right.
We got a lot of things to cover tomorrow night. I want to make sure I covered everything. So I'll look at I don't always show you my whiteboard. I like to be secret about it, but this is my whiteboard here. Here, okay. So we did the Pennsylvania elections. We did the New Jersey elections. We did the Virginia elections. We did the Trump press conference with the Diwali stuff. We did the Comey case. We did the state of the ceasefire and the situation going on in Israel. We didn't do completely Mondami's Friends, which I wanted to do, and China's control over rare earth, which I'll do tomorrow, because it's a Wall Street Journal piece, and it is quite accurate, but it's a little bit stated. So we'll get to that tomorrow, and we have a little sports talk for you tomorrow. I will avoid completely to the day I die. The Giants lost last week. I mean, that
was a tough one, Mayor.
I know. I make believe it didn't happen. Well, please now. We're getting there. We got a lot of people in Israel trying to get this over the top. There's a critical period. It's a critical period in Ukraine too. And you can't judge what's going on by what you read, because a lot's below the surface. Iran, same thing. America, oh my goodness, what we're going through. And my poor city, New York, I am so worried about it. I'm constantly thinking about what can I do and how can I help. Well, you pray for all that. You pray for Ukraine. You pray for Israel. You pray for Iran. You pray for my New York. You pray for America. You pray for the Jewish people, because that covers Israel. But beyond that, you pray for all the good people of the world. You hope that we figure out a way to all unite, even if there are these ethnic, racial, and religious differences between us. Isn't the thing that brings us together that we're good people? And everybody's got good ones and bad ones, and the good ones should get together and forget the bad ones in their group.
Right.
So let's all say it together with that beautiful view of the capital of the world behind us. Please, God, let it remain that way. God bless America.
It's our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze. We are able to apply our God-given common